It usually did not begin with everybody knowing at once. A few people near the water saw ships sitting low and kept looking longer than they should have, because from a distance, a ship was still just a ship for a moment. Someone shading their eyes, someone else still bent over nets, another person half turning back to work because surely somebody closer would know firsters. Then the warning came badly. Not one clean alarm. More like a bell started too late, dogs barking before people understood why, one man shouting from the shore, another shouting a different thing from the lane, and half the village hearing only pieces of it. Some heard names. Some just heard running. So the place split immediately. The people nearest the landing were already moving before others had even decided whether there was danger at all. Somebody in a boat cut a rope too fast and dropped it in the water. Somebody inland looked up from a field and saw people running but could not see what from. A woman at a doorway might still be calling a child in for something ordinary, while men on the shore were already backing away. That is how the first minutes went wrong. There was no shared picture. One household thought there was still time. Another had already given up on staying. Somebody waited for a headman or priest to say what to do and got nothing useful. Because whoever people normally listened to was either not there, running for their own family, or working from the same scraps of noise as everyone else. Then people had to choose too fast, and the choices were bad in different ways. If you ran immediately, you left too much behind. If you stopped to gather anything, you lost the one advantage you had, which was a little distancy. So people grabbed whatever their hands met first. A child under the arm, a food sack, a cloak, a bundle of tools, a chest key, a bit of silver wrapped in cloth and shoved into a belt. You can picture the awkwardness of it. Someone trying to move quickly while carrying an infant and dragging a bigger child who keeps twisting to look back. Someone else hauling a bag that felt manageable indoors and suddenly felt foolishly heavy once they had to cross open ground with it. Some got 10 paces and turned back because they remembered winter stores, or a sick parent, or a church vessel, or animals still penned. Animals made everything slower. A person who would have run straight for cover instead stopped to loose a tether or kick open a pen, because leaving animals trapped felt impossible in the moment. Then the animals bolted exactly where people were trying to go. A pig cutting across a path, sheep bunching in a gateway, a cow refusing to move until somebody beat at it with both hands. Children made warning harder too. Older ones ran toward the noise because noise draws children before fear catches up all. Smaller ones hid in the wrong places, under benches, or behind storage jars, because hiding at home made sense to them. So adults were doubling back into houses they had just left, calling into smoke-dark rooms, wasting breath and seconds. And all this was happening while other people were still trying to confirm the thing itself. That meant lanes clogged unevenly. One cluster running hard, another standing and staring, another arguing whether to head for the church, the woods, the marsh, or the boat seat. There was no neat line away from danger. Just people cutting across each other, bumping shoulders, dropping things, stopping each other with bad questions. The church or central building pulled people almost by habit. It was solid, familiar, a place where others would gather. That social pull mattered. If you saw neighbors heading there, it felt safer than running alone into brush. So some crowded through one doorway with whatever they had managed to snatch, pressing in with children, bundles, maybe a box, maybe a loaf, maybe nothing but the clothes they had on. But a barred door solved only the first problem. Once too many people were inside, the next problem was air, room, noise, and what to do if fire came near. Somebody wanted the door shut. Somebody else wanted it left loose in case they had to run. Somebody was praying. Somebody was trying to quiet a crying child because everybody suddenly understood sound could carry. Other people did the opposite and ran for ground they knew personally. A ditch by a field edge. Reeds near a stream. Brush behind a wall. A low rise with trees. Those choices depended on habit more than planning. You went where your feet already knew the turns, where you had cut wood before, where animals strayed, where there was a hollow dry enough to lie in. Those places had their own problems right away. Reeds hid you until they moved. Wet ground soaked hems and shoes. Brush tore at clothing and made children complain or cough. If you lay flat in a ditch with two other people, you found out quickly how loud breathing is when everyone is trying not to make any sound at all. Then fires started in one part of the settlement, and from there the whole day changed shape. Before that, people were mostly trying to get away from armed men. After that, they were dealing with a place that no longer behaved properly. Smoke rolled where lanes had been clear. Sparks crossed roofs. Heat pushed people sideways into routes they would never have chosen on purpose. Familiar paths turned useless in minutes. A lane between houses that looked open from one end was blocked at the other by flame, a fallen cart, loose animals, or people reversing direction all at once. Someone ran one way, came back coughing, and then everyone behind them had to pivot too, which caused more dropping, more stumbling, more shouting over each other. Vision got worse, and hearing got worse in a different way. You could hear plenty, but it stopped helping. Bells, yelling, animals, timber cracking, people calling names. One person shouted that the raiders were at the shore. Another said they were already by the storehouses. A third had seen them near the church. Any of those could be true, old or wrong by the time it reached you. So people started moving by scraps, not by certainty. By whatever sound felt nearest or most believable. Follow that woman because she says her brother saw an opening. Avoid that lane because somebody came back from it black with soot. Stay down because footsteps are close. No, run now because silence means they have moved on. It was that kind of decision-making all afternoon. Inside buildings, smoke made the earlier shelter choice go bad fast. A door that had felt strong became a thing people fought over. Open it and risk being seen. Keep it shut and start choking. Somebody near the front wanted everyone back from the entrance. Somebody near the rear was already feeling along walls for another way out, or testing shutters or trying to get children through a gap too small for adults. Out in the rough ground, hiding had the opposite problem. You were exposed to weather, mud, insects, fear, and your own impatience. A ditch or reed bed was good only if you stayed putta. But staying put was hard once smoke drifted over, or once you heard an animal screaming, or once a child whispered that they wanted their mother, or once you realized someone from your house had not come with you. That was where a lot of bad second decisions happened. A person hidden successfully for an hour ruined it by standing to look. Another crawled out because they thought the worst was over when the shouting dropped. Someone else started back for a missing son, or for an old father who could not run well, or because they remembered exactly where money had been hidden and could not stop thinking about it. The line between getting away and being taken was not settled in the first rush. It kept shifting. People who had escaped the landing were spotted later crossing open ground. People who had hidden well were found because they moved at the wrong time. People who had nearly reached cover turned back for a relative and never made the second trip. Neighbors also endangered each other without meaning to. One person bursting from cover could draw attention to the place two others were still lying in. Someone calling a missing name too loudly could answer the searchers better than the missing person ever would. A child, once it heard a familiar voice, might stand up before the adult could stop them. Even simple things became awkward choices. If you found a water bucket, did you try to save a roof or save your breath? If you saw goods scattered in the lane, did you pick up what your own family needed or keep moving? If an animal came back on its own, did you catch it or let it go because tying it again would keep you in sight too long? By later in the day, survivors coming out in bits had to read the place almost like strangers. A house standing did not mean it was safe to enter. A quiet lane did not mean empty. An open storehouse might mean looted, or it might mean somebody had fled in a hurry and left it that way. People kept stopping at corners, peering first, then moving, then stopping again. And then there was the counting. Not formal counting, just people calling names, then calling them again, trying to match faces to households. One child found with the wrong family. One man asking 3 different people whether they had seen his wife. A woman answering everybody with the same short shake of the head because she had seen too much to sort it cleanly yet. The shore kept pulling eyes even from inland. Anybody who could get a glimpse of the water did. Were the ships still there? Had they pushed off? Were there more offshore? If some had left, had they all left? Nobody looking from a distance could be sure. So even after the noise dropped, people did not settle. They kept looking up between every other task. The injured created another set of immediate quarrels. Do you carry them first, or put out fire first, or gather children first? If someone was hurt inside a damaged building, who was willing to go in? If a person could walk a little, they might be pushed to move now, because nobody knew whether there would be time later. Hard choices got made in very plain language. Loose livestock wandered through all of this like a separate problem nobody had time for. Sheep in gardens, cattle near smoldering wood, chickens everywhere. Some people tried to gather them because food was food and winter still existed no matter what had happened that day. Others snapped at them, waved them off, or ignored them because they were still searching for kin. Then people started noticing what was missing in a more settled way. Not just goods. Gaps. The person who should have answered by now. The group from the outer field not back yet. The boatman gone. The chest broken open. The church things taken. The child found, but not the mother. That sort of inventory spread by murmurs as much as sight. Darkness coming on did not help anybody decide what to do next. It made every option worse. If you stayed out hidden, night brought cold and uncertainty. If you went back into a damaged house, you might be trapped there if the raiders returned. If you lit anything, you could be seen. If you kept everything dark, tending wounds and watching children got harder. So people improvised the evening the same way they had improvised the morning. Small groups huddling where they could. Somebody posted to watch the water or the lane. Somebody sent to check one more building before full dark. Somebody tearing cloth for bandages. Somebody whispering that they should move inland before dawn. Somebody else refusing to leave because a family member might still come back in the night. And that was the worst shape of the first day. By then they knew enough to be frightened properly. They knew the ships had been real. They knew the warning had failed. They knew who had not returned yet. But they still did not know whether the raiders were gone for good, whether a search party was still out there somewhere, or whether morning would bring people limping home from the reeds, or sails showing again.